Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're diving into a topic that's literally all around you, from the phone in your hand to the shoes on your feet. We're talking about polymers, a super important chapter in your Class 12 syllabus. But trust me, this isn't just about chemistry, it's about understanding the stuff that builds our world. And in the next few minutes, we're going to make it totally crystal clear. So before we get into all the chemical formulas and reactions, let's start with a really simple question. Just take a look around you right now. Your water bottle, maybe the clothes you're wearing, the chair you're sitting on. What is the one thing they all have in common? Any guesses? Yep, you got it. The answer is polymers. From these colorful ropes to simple plastic bottles, these incredible materials are pretty much the building blocks of our modern life. Polymers are everywhere, and they shape our daily lives in ways we don't even think about. All right, so to really get a grip on this chapter, here's our game plan. First, we'll start with the absolute basics. What are polymers? Then, we'll look at the polymer blueprints to see how they're built. After that, we'll connect it to the real world in materials and their powers. And finally, we'll meet the polymer all-stars, the must-know examples for your exams. Let's get right into it. Okay, let's kick things off with Section 1, the foundation. Getting these basics right is the key to understanding everything else that follows. So let's dive in. So what exactly is a monomer? The easiest way to picture it is this. Think of a polymer as a mala, a necklace. Well, the monomer is just a single moti, or one bead. It's the small, simple, repeating unit that you use to build the entire chain. Simple as that. And if you link all those monomers together, one after another, what do you get? You get the full necklace. And that is exactly what a polymer is. It's a huge molecule, a macromolecule, made of many, many repeating units all joined together by strong covalent bonds. The name itself gives it away. Poly means many, and mer means units. Many units. That's a polymer. Okay, now that we've got the basics down, let's move on to Section 2, the polymer blueprints. This is where we look at all the different ways these long chains can actually be designed and put together. So, take a look here. These are the two most basic structures. On the left, in Figure A, we have linear polymers. Think of them as long, straight chains, just like a piece of rope. But on the right, in B, you see branch chain polymers. Just like a tree, these have a main chain, but they've also got smaller branches shooting off the sides. And then, there's this third structure, cross-linked or network polymers. This is where things get really interesting. Different polymer chains are actually linked to each other, forming this strong, three-dimensional network. It's kind of like a fishing net, and it's this cross-linking that makes these polymers so tough and rigid. Now, another way we can classify polymers is by the kind of monomers they're made from. It's pretty straightforward. If you use only one type of monomer, let's say a necklace made of only red beads, you get a homopolymer. Polythene is a classic example. But if you mix it up and use two or more different monomers, like a necklace of red and blue beads, you get a copolymer, like Buna S. So how are these chains actually made? Well, there are three main recipes. First, there's addition polymerization. Here, monomers just keep adding to each other, one by one, and nothing else is produced. Second, we have condensation polymerization. In this one, when monomers join, a small molecule, usually water, gets kicked out. And finally, there's ring opening polymerization, where a circular monomer literally breaks its ring open to form a long, straight chain. Awesome. So we know what polymers are and how they're built. Let's move on to Section 3, materials and their powers. This is where we connect all that chemistry to the real-world properties and uses of these amazing materials. First off, we can classify polymers based on where they come from. You've got your natural polymers, which we find in plants and animals, like cotton and silk. Then you have synthetic polymers, which are completely man-made in a lab, like nylon. And right in the middle, you have semi-synthetic polymers. These start out as natural polymers, but we tweak them chemically. Okay, everyone, pay close attention to this slide. This is super, super important for your exams. A polymer's properties really depend on the forces between its chains, right? So if the forces are really weak, the chains can stretch out easily, but then snap right back. That gives us elastomers, just like a rubber band. Now, if the forces are super strong, like hydrogen bonds, the chains are locked together tightly. This gives them amazing strength, creating fibers like nylon. Then we have thermoplastics. Here, the forces are somewhere in the middle. When you heat them up, they get soft and you can mold them into a new shape. When they cool down, they get hard again. And finally, you have thermosetting polymers. When you heat these guys for the first time, they undergo a chemical change and form strong, permanent crosslinks. This creates a rigid structure that becomes permanently hard. You can't melt it again. Bakelite is the perfect example.
And now for our final section, meet the polymer all-stars. This is a quick-fire round where we'll look at the most important polymers you absolutely need to know. Think of these as the celebrities of the polymer world.
First up, natural rubber. In its raw form, it's pretty soft and sticky, not very useful. But back in 1839, a guy named Charles Goodyear figured out that if you heat it with sulfur, a process we call vulcanization, it creates these sulfur crosslinks between the polymer chains. This makes the rubber way stronger, more elastic, and much more durable. It's the reason we can have things like car tires.
Next, let's talk about polyethylene. You've definitely heard of it, but there are two main types. Low-density polyethylene, or LDP, has a branched structure. These branches stop the chains from packing together neatly, which is what makes it so flexible. But high-density polyethylene, or HDP, has a linear, straight chain structure. This lets the chains pack together very tightly, making it much stronger and more rigid. That's why we use HDP for things like buckets and pipes.
You've absolutely heard of this one, Teflon. Its fancy chemical name is polytetrafluoroethylene. The key things to remember are that it's chemically inert, meaning it doesn't react with stuff, and it's super resistant to heat. And that, of course, is what makes it perfect for nonstick pans. Its monomer, by the way, is tetrafluoroethylene.
Next up are the polyamides, which you probably just call nylon. The two main types are nylon 6,6 and nylon 6. They are famous for their incredible tensile strength, which makes them perfect for things like ropes, fabrics, and even the bristles on your toothbrush. And here's a pro tip for your exam. Those numbers, the 6,6 and the 6, actually tell you how many carbon atoms are in the monomers used to make them. Now for polyesters, like terylene, which is also known as Dacron. Its biggest claim to fame is that it's wrinkle-resistant and really durable. That's why you'll often see it blended with other fibers to get the best of both worlds. When it's mixed with cotton, it's called terracotta, and with wool, it's terrywool. Check your clothing labels. Hey, remember those thermosetting polymers we talked about earlier? Well, Bakelite is the classic example. It's made from phenol and formaldehyde. Once you heat it and set it into a shape, it becomes permanently hard. Plus, it's heat-resistant and a bad conductor of electricity, which is exactly why it's used for things like electrical switches and the handles on pots and pans.
So, as we've seen, the whole world of polymers really boils down to this one idea: connecting structure to function. Whether it's the straight chains in HTB giving it strength, the strong hydrogen bonds in nylon creating powerful fibers, or the crosslinks in Bakelite making it permanently hard, understanding these tiny details helps us understand the amazing properties of the materials that literally build our modern world. And that's a wrap on our deep dive into polymers. We'll leave you with this one thought. Right now, we can basically engineer polymers with almost any property we can dream of. So, what do you think is coming next? Which everyday polymer is going to be completely reinvented for some revolutionary new purpose? Thanks for joining me, and good luck with your studies.